Hello. Hi. Hello. Oh, hi. Oh, hi there. I've never done a formal introduction / get to know me type of video on here. This time last year, I thought, oh, maybe I'll do that when I reach 1,000 subscribers, which I know by like YouTube social media standards really means nothing. But for someone like me who is what I would call aggressively introverted, that's a lot of people. I probably have like 30 contacts in my phone maximum. But when we did reach 1,000, I got it in my head that nobody would care or have any questions. But now we have 2,000, which statistically, that is more. We have seemingly doubled our population and somebody in there is bound to have a question, right? I asked you guys to submit some questions on Instagram. I said it could be anything: love, life, art, the weirder the better. And lo and behold, you guys actually had some questions and I have answers. All right, let's go through some of these. Number 1, how old are you and what's your sign? I am currently 30. My birthday is in October, which makes me a Scorpio and overall spooky girl. What's your favorite holiday? Halloween? Absolutely no question. I look forward to fall so much. I want to wear a turtleneck and make a hearty corn chowder in a giant ceramic pumpkin. I want to get my PSL. I want to go walk around Target, Michael's, Joann. I'd like to be left alone for 3 to 5 hours. And I want to look at every spooky village. If there's a ghost pillow, I want to touch it. If there is a candle scented with the crunchy, decayed leaves of seasons past, I want to bring it home and pour the hot wax all over my body. When you were a kid, what did you want to be when you grew up? I went through a couple different phases. I remember I went to Kennedy Space Center and I was like, oh, I'm going to space. I went to SeaWorld and thought I was going to be a dolphin trainer. But the main thing that like held consistent the longest was I wanted to be a children's book author. What is your Starbucks order? My order at any coffee shop is a chai latte. If they don't have that, it's a London fog. I'm more of a tea drinker than a coffee drinker. I like the taste of coffee, but normally it gives me a headache and it makes me shart in my pants. So I need to have a clear schedule for the rest of the day if I'm gonna partake in that. Next question. What is your go-to pizza topping? I really like pepperoni with a ton of veggies, so spinach, onions, bell pepper, mushrooms. I'm also very partial to a Hawaiian pizza. I know it's kind of a polarizing topic, but I am first and foremost a pineapple pizza woman. Next up, what is your favorite candy? I'm not really a big candy eater. My favorite candy growing up was sour gummy worms, but I can't really eat them anymore because as an adult, they hurt my teeth. So these days, I'm really into dark chocolate. My favorite chocolate bar is this dark chocolate with caramelized honeycomb pieces. It is so good, but it's like $5 a bar and I can easily just whip it down in one sitting. Okay, I got this question a few times. How did you get into art / ceramics and did you go to school for it? So I've always been into art to some degree. I always gravitated towards it as a kid. I always chose it as my elective in like middle school and high school. But other than in grade school, I've never studied it formally. Growing up, I always saw myself pursuing art in some capacity, like as a career. I even toured an art college when I was in high school and was like dead set on like I was gonna go there, that was gonna be my life plan. But when it actually came time to submit applications, I think I psyched myself out of it. I heard a lot of commentary from the adults in my life at that time being like, there's really no money in art, there's no job opportunities, like you need to find something more stable that you can really take care of yourself with. So I got a lot of that in my head and also just like general insecurities about the portfolio of work that I had. And so when it actually came time to apply to that college, I never did. Fast forward, I ended up going to just a regular university, had no idea what I wanted to study. After my freshman year, I kind of had, a little mental breakdown because I felt like that art was the only thing I was ever good at or had any interest in. And I really regretted not trying to pursue it. So I put together a portfolio of art. I made an appointment with an advisor in the fine arts college, like at the university that I was going to, marched myself in, did my whole like emotional spiel. Like this was actually my passion and what I wanted to pursue. I wanted to transfer into this college. I had only taken gen eds at this point, so so nothing even like major specific. And essentially I was told tough shit. There was nothing they could do for me and I could not transfer in. I was 19, I was devastated, felt like I had ruined my whole life. Yeah, and I still have some bitterness, honestly, about that period of time. That kind of feeds into the next question I got, which was, what do you do for a living and what made you want to start a YouTube channel? Well, I never was successful in finding a job in a creative field. I started working in finance actually after college, really out of like financial necessity. You know, you kind of just have to like take what you can get at that point when you're coming out of college. So I needed a job and it was a job that I got. What I didn't really understand at the time was I was kind of locking myself into a career in that field because that's what all my experience ended up being, and then those were the only jobs that I was qualified for. So I have a very corporate America, beep boop, like desk job where I essentially sit and look at spreadsheets and older men wearing Columbia puffer jackets for some reason walk by me and tell me that I should smile more. And that's pretty much the vibe. So I started feeling really disappointed in myself a few years ago that like I was on this path that I never wanted to be on. I felt kind of like creatively stifled. I felt trapped in the sense that like I couldn't get into a creative job because my experience and my schooling didn't line up with that. So I was trying to find some kind of like happy medium. I tried changing my mentality around my job. Instead of thinking of it as a career, as like something that defined me, I kind of switched my mindset into thinking of it as just a job. It's just a thing that I do to pay my bills and fund my hobbies. I wanted to focus more energy or take more energy away from work and put it more into my hobbies and the things that make me happy. I'm also really obsessed with YouTube. I have been watching YouTube, really since its inception. I watch more YouTube than I do movies and television. I've always watched other creators and felt like that looked really fun, or like, I wish I could do that. So one day I just decided to like merge those two desires together. I wanted to make more art projects and I wanted to try filming videos, not because I thought I could make a career out of it or I could make any money out of it whatsoever. I just wanted to do it for fun, just to try something new. Okay, next question I got. I want to start a YouTube channel, but I feel like people won't watch or I'll get hate about it. Do you have any advice? Well, first, same. I had and still have those thoughts. I was worried that I would post one video, everybody would make fun of me, I would get embarrassed, and then I would just delete the whole thing. That didn't happen. All the worries that I had in my head really never came to fruition. I was actually shocked that the majority of people who watched have really been lovely and kind and supportive about it. Granted, my channel is not very big at all, but if people are being mean about it, they're at least not saying it to my face yet. Also, I would say that if you are trying something new and it's all in good fun and it's not hurting anybody, you just want to share your hobby or connect with other people or, I don't know, explore a new interest, and somebody wants to make fun of you for that, they suck. If somebody's like, wow, look at you, trying a new hobby, trying to better yourself and learn new things, what a loser. That's really weird. And that person probably needs to get a life and a hobby of their own. So if you want to try something new, if that's making a YouTube channel or trying pottery or starting a garden or playing a sport, just try it. If you suck, literally who cares? It's really not like as big of a deal as you make it up to be in your head. Okay, what is your niche YouTube obsession? I have several. I really like watching people decorate hamster cages. Like, I'm talking like massive tank, like decked out hamster heaven paradise. If you theme the enclosure, even better. This interest is not exclusive to hamsters. Heck, I'll take a guinea pig, a bird, a leopard gecko. If you built a sick turtle pond in your backyard, I want to see it. How do you pick the art projects that you do? Mostly I see somebody else trying something and I'm like, oh, that looks fun. Yep, I want to do that, count me in. Or I see a piece of art or something at the store and I have the immediate audacity of being like, oh, I could make that. I just like making stuff, even if it doesn't turn out great. And I want to try everything, every medium. If it's art related, like chances are I want to try it. I keep a running list of like art project ideas in my phone. And then whenever I'm feeling crafty, I just scroll through and pick something. What is your favorite and least favorite thing that you've made? My favorite is probably the mushroom sweater that I embroidered. I feel very cute wearing that, and it gets a lot of compliments whenever I do wear it out. I remember I wore it when I visited England last fall, and this girl came up to me and said, oh, I just love your jumper. I felt like I had made it in life. My least favorite, I mean, I've made a ton of crap projects that I've just never shared online. But if we're talking about videos specifically, probably the cape that I sewed for my Over the Garden Wall Halloween costume last year. Yeah, that thing was a hot ass mess and I was kind of embarrassed to show it off. Okay, these next 3 questions are very similar, but I'm going to answer them differently. Number 1, do you have any big art projects in mind that you want to do? So speaking of sewing, I have several projects in mind that require me to be good at sewing. I'd like to make a quilt. I'd like to turn a quilt into like a jacket or do some kind of patchwork inspired clothing piece. I think I'd have so much fun getting into cosplay and making costumes. I want to make a corset, but as it was revealed previously, I'm not good at sewing. And I also don't have a long attention span to learn how to do it. It would also require me to practice. So there's a lot of factors there, but it's something that I would love to learn eventually. Next, what is your dream art project? Going back to my childhood dream, I would love to write and illustrate my own children's book. I have a few ideas actually for these books, but I'm very intimidated about the illustration process. I'm not super strong in creating digital art, but that's like another thing that I would have to spend way more time dedicated to learning and improving. I feel like everything I try to draw just like doesn't look as good as the imagery that I have in my head for it. That's also me being really hard on myself, but that would be like my ultimate art dream if I had more time to dedicate to it. Next, what is a project you'd like to try but are hesitant to start? The last 2 answers, but then also stained glass. I love stained glass. I follow several stained glass artists online and I love it. I wish I could do that. I would say that I'm hesitant to start because it's just an expensive hobby to get into. Between like the glass and all the materials you need to make it, it's just not cheap. I also don't have a dedicated space where I could keep all of that stuff like organized and accessible, but maybe one day. Next question. Do you have any advice for improving painting skills? Yes, I would say find a painting or something that you like and try to recreate it like with your own flair. I actually think that can be a great way to practice your painting skills. It takes the hardest part away, which for me is like coming up with the actual composition of the painting. I definitely know there's some heated debate like in the art community around copying other people's work. But for me personally, I feel like as long as you are not trying to profit off of somebody else's work or like pass it off solely as your own, like if it's just for your own personal purposes, you want to have it in your home, or you just want to use it like as a tool to practice yourself, I think it can be really helpful. Okay, what crafts have you tried that you didn't really like? Oh, oil painting. A couple years ago, my boyfriend and I did a Bob Ross painting night, like where you get all the supplies and you try to recreate a Bob Ross painting from one of his tutorials, which was fun in theory, but I learned that I just really don't like oil paints. It was very messy. It was hard to clean up. It destroyed all of my existing paintbrushes and it took forever to dry, like 2 weeks. And I don't have time for that. The paint was also kind of pricey. And afterwards I just stuck it in the bottom of my art bin to die. If you could buy a creepy old house, what style would it be? Cottage, two-door, manor? I really like this question. I'm torn between like a haunted castle or like a quaint little cottage. I think realistically, I would not want a huge house because I would never want to clean that much. I'd also have to check every single room before I went to bed for scary guys. My dream house would be like a small stone or maybe brick cottage with lots of plants, ivy, a garden space, a greenhouse. The inside would be like vintage dark academia inspired, but also like whimsical fantasy core. And maybe there's like a haunted library slash art room, but the ghost is like really chill and just hangs out with me while I cross stitch. The next question is, would y'all ever get another pup? A friend for Odie? Question mark. This is my dog, Odin, if you didn't know. We mostly call him Odie, baby man, or chicken muffin. I think if we had a home with like a yard space, then we'd maybe consider it. He really likes being with other dachshunds. I know he would also bother me considerably less during the day if he had somebody to play with. So I do feel like kind of guilty about that. But with our current living situation, having another one would just be really challenging. It's hard enough getting him into his harness and his leash and getting him downstairs to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night. Like, I can't imagine doing that with two of them. I also take him like most places with me, and I don't think I'd be able to manage doing that with two. Getting a puppy was also significantly more work than I ever thought it would be. Like, had I truly known what I was getting myself into beforehand, I don't think I would have gotten one, but I do love him. So not right now, but I wouldn't write it off forever. You've talked about your challenges with mental health before. What are some things you do to feel better? Hobbies. I know that when I'm sad, I tend to lose interest in doing the things that I like to do, but I know that it's super important for me to continue to do those things. So I will force myself to make a craft, do something just to distract my brain for a few hours. Video games, honestly, I can absolutely get lost in a video game and just have a really wholesome time. Maybe listen to an audiobook or like a podcast at the same time. I also like to read, but I need to really set the mood. I'm talking freshly showered, full body marinated in body butter, in bed, candlelight, fan on, a 10-hour thunderstorm soundscape. Kindle. Right now I'm reading the Throne of Glass series and I'm really into it. Also for me, don't read the news. The news is never good and it's never going to make me feel good. I had to let go of the desire to like constantly be informed on what's going on in the world and make a conscious effort to not engage with it, because it's just not good for me to read about the worst possible things that could have happened in the world every single day. I can't like not be affected by it. So if it's something like really big going on, I normally see about it on social media or my boyfriend will tell me. But in general, otherwise, I try to stay away from it. Next question. What is your dream job? Honestly, I have no idea. My first instinct is to say nothing. I have no dreams of labor of any kind, but maybe this question mark? I don't know. Making these art videos is like the only work that I've ever enjoyed. I do wish that I could just do this full time. I also think I would really enjoy like set design or prop design. I remember watching like a behind the scenes, the making of Jim Henson's Dark Crystal, and feeling like, oh bitch, I want to make the shit out of that puppet. Like, give me an airbrush and a sandblaster and I will fabricate a tree like you've never seen. What is a hard lesson you've had to learn? Probably saying no, and learning that no itself can be a complete thought or a complete sentence. I definitely grew up with a big people pleaser complex. I would do things or try things not necessarily because I wanted to, but because I wanted to make other people happy or comfortable, or I wanted to make friends or make people like me. And that really just never would end well for me, because then people put certain expectations on you, or you're making relationships pretty much on like false pretenses. I've had to learn that it's okay not to agree to everything and to really put my foot down and say no when I don't want to do something. It's okay to say no and to offer no further explanation. No, I don't want to do that. But thanks. Next one is embarrassing childhood memory? Question mark. Where do I start? When did the hurt begin? I'll share one that's very lighthearted, but that I do still think about. My elementary school had like spirit days where we'd have like themed dress up days, like dress like you're 100 years old, or crazy hair day, funky sock day, that sort of thing. And one year they had dress as your favorite storybook character. I was in the 4th grade, and when I tell you that this was my Super Bowl, This was my Olympic event. This was my moment to dress up as Harry Potter and go to school. Cosplaying, flying to Hogwarts on my broom, but I'm on a blue Huffy bicycle in the American suburbs. I had the white button-down shirt, I had the striped tie, I found an old graduation gown, like the black, like gauzy fabric to be my robe. I painted a stick that I found in the backyard to be my wand. I drew on the scar with eyeliner. I slicked my hair back into like a tight bun because I was a boy. I needed to have short hair. I had my outfit like laid out for weeks. I was so excited to go to school that day. I walk into the classroom that morning, and when I tell you that no one else dressed up, did I get the day wrong, you may ask? No, I didn't. Everyone else had just decided that it was not cool to dress up anymore. Nobody told me that. So I walked in, everyone's heads turned, looked at me, staring, laughing. I was mortified. I went to my desk, put my book bag down, and just turned and like ran out of the classroom, went to the bathroom to cry. Another teacher had to like come get me and like coax me out to go back to class. There's no happy ending to that story. That's just how the rest of the day went. I didn't bring a change of clothes. Why would I? That happened to me quite a bit growing up, where I would like go into a social situation thinking that I'm on the same page with all these kids, like we're all good. And then I would get there and feel like, I don't think I was reading the same book. Okay, I combined these two questions together because they have the same answer. What is something that most people don't know about you? And what is one thing you wish you could change about yourself? Misophonia. I have this thing called misophonia, which is basically like extreme sensitivity to sound. And there are certain sounds that when I hear them, make me want to physically crawl out of my skin and exit my body. Things like people smacking their lips when they eat, or eating really crunchy food, popping their gum. These sounds like cause me inexplicable like rage and discomfort. It like triggers my fight or flight response, and my body feels like I need to get out of there immediately. But if I'm in a situation where I can't just leave, like if I'm at work or a social situation, I just get really agitated and stressed and snappy, and it's like inner panic, which is very hard to explain to other people. One, because like most people haven't heard of it or don't think that it's real. And two, it's like, unless you have it, you really don't understand what it feels like. I try to describe it to people like, imagine if you were sitting at your desk and somebody came by with a chalkboard and dragged a rusty nail across it right next to you. Your body would have a physical, like visceral reaction to that sound, right? And you would want to get away from it. Now, imagine if that happened to you all the time in any social situation and nobody cared. I physically could not function without noise canceling headphones. I wear them pretty much like exclusively at work. When I go out in public, if I'm in like a social situation where like I can wear headphones, I'm wearing them. I wear headphones or like earplugs to bed. So my ears like constantly ache from always like wearing headphones. And overall, it's just like really not a good time. It's embarrassing. It adds a lot of extra stress to my life. It limits like things that I'm willing to do. Like I don't really go to the movies or concerts. I don't want to put myself in a situation where I'm in a crowd of people and one of those sounds happens and now I'm just not having a good time. So just generally it sucks, and I would wish it away in a heartbeat if I could. Okay, next question I got is, what is your Myers-Briggs personality and what is your Enneagram type? Enneagram? Am I saying that right?
Enneagram.
So I know my Myers-Briggs is an INFPT, aka a turbulent mediator. A mediator is someone who possesses the introverted, intuitive, feeling, and perspective personality traits. They tend to be quiet, open-minded, imaginative, and apply a caring and creative approach to everything they do. That's nice. People with this personality tend to feel directionless or stuck until they connect with a sense of purpose for their lives.
I felt trapped.
Yeah, tell me about it. Turbulent personality types are typically not comfortable with their current lives.
Really disappointed in myself.
Well, turbulent mediators are apt to ask too much of themselves and become overwhelmed. When they don't meet their unyielding, perhaps at times unreasonable goals, they are likely to be hard on themselves.
That's also me being really hard on myself.
Oh boy. Their imagination and sensitivity may magnify the damage caused by negative self-talk.
Nobody would care.
Mediators you may know. Tolkien, William Shakespeare, Frodo Baggins. Okay, work. The Enneagram one I didn't know, so I took a test beforehand and I got type 4, the individualist. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Okay, why does that feel like a read? 4s are self-aware, sensitive, and reserved. They are emotionally honest, creative, and personal, but can also be moody and self-conscious. 4s typically have problems with melancholy, self-indulgence, and self-pity. Okay, can we find one that's like positive? 4s feel they're unlike other human beings.
I don't think I was reading the same book.
And consequently that no one can understand them or love them adequately. What type 4s tell themselves? My deep sense of abandonment translates into a belief that I will never be fulfilled. Okay, well, I think I'm ready to move on. Have you ever considered relocating? And if so, where? Yes, big yes. I have lived in Florida my whole life and I hate it. Florida should be sawed off from the continental US and just cast out to sea. I have always wanted to move, but I have yet to figure out how to execute that. When I was 18, I wanted to move, but it was way less expensive to go to college in-state than out, so I stayed for that. Then I was like, okay, after I graduate. But then I was 22, I had no job, money, experience.
Already a burden to my parents. And I'm frightened.
I thought, okay, well, let me get some of that first and then we'll go. Then at like 25, 26, I was like, okay, ready to pull the plug, like let's burn it all to the ground and get out of here. But then I started dating my current boyfriend and I like really liked him and I wanted to like see that through. And then the pandemic happened like a couple years after that. We couldn't leave. And then like the housing market and the job market evolved into like what they currently are. So I think I've learned that there's never really gonna be an ideal time to just uproot your whole life and leave, but I am still trying to figure out how to do that, how to accomplish that, because I really want to move. I'd love to move to the Pacific Northwest, either Washington or Oregon, and really just slap on a beanie and live my overcast, rainy, blue tinted Bella Swan fantasy. What is your favorite utensil? I would say a tiny spoon, not a regular spoon, a tiny spoon. Thoughts about the government knowing about aliens? I think that checks out. And I also think that I am very tired. My questions are, do I still have to go to work and do I still have to pay my rent? If so, then just let me know. Let me know when the aliens are at my door. Let me know when they're crawling into bed with me at night. Let me know if they're asking for volunteers.
I volunteer as tribute.
All right, I think I'm gonna cut it there. I have been recording for quite some time. Hey, if you made it this far, thanks for watching. Thank you to everyone who submitted a question. This was fun for me, though I do feel very vulnerable and like nobody could possibly understand or love me. Would you like to answer any questions from the people? Do you have any closing remarks? Okay, bye. I don't really feel good.
You are so beautiful.
Me every day after eating a handful of chocolate chips and shotgunning LaCroix. I don't feel good.
You are so beautiful. He's so brave. He's well behaved. He is not afraid.